Howdy and welcome back. This is Ethelred, the worst Civ player on YouTube. Let's play some Civ, and I don't know if we can get a settler out, start getting settlers out in this episode or not, but we're going to go tradition because, of course, I'm going to go tradition. I'm India. I'm going for the culture win. It's a no-brainer.
Thou shalt not.
Yay, horses. What pantheon was founded? Open sky, +1 from pastures. Alright, so really at this point I have no religion generation. And that just stinks. I think I'm going to go for the wheel right now to get the watermill. And then I'll pick up writing. And really what this is prioritizing the food off of the watermill over the well, the library is what, plus 50% science? Jeez, I probably need to go that. Yeah. Alright. If I don't have libraries, I'm going to feel really pathetic. I need to get libraries up anyway for the National College. And it would be a mistake not to prioritize science. Oh! History. So the Merger civilization, or the city here, as I mentioned in the last episode, emptied out and the people came into what was probably just flat out better terrain, which is this big marsh here over the Indus River Valley. And the reason why it was so marshy is because the monsoons would come right through here all the time, and then you had the floodplains from the river anyways. So it was really a lovely place to live. And a civilization which was created there, which was called the Indus River Valley Civilization, or more interestingly named Harappan. And Harappan is awesome. They're basically why I picked India for my next playthrough. So first off, at their height they had 1,000 cities through here. That's a lot of cities. They didn't seem to go to war with one another. What we find most in their ruins are toys. We find toys and artwork, and it appears for all the world like they were a peaceful civilization who practiced arts and crafts, and they mastered more than anything. They mastered water. Let's see. So their spoken language. That has been lost. We do not know what language they spoke. We found plenty of examples of their writing, which is in symbols which we don't recognize at all. But we can't translate it. We haven't found a Rosetta Stone or anything to help us figure out what that means. Dance of the Aurora. Well, I don't care about that one at all. I really don't have a strategy for getting a religion right now, so that's not really very optimal. Okay, shiny things, yeah, adopt policy, oligarchy, and come up here on this hill. Alright, so this is one of the entry points into my little realm here, and I think I see chocolate? Cocoa? Yeah, that's right, cocoa. Alright, so their spoken language is gone. We found their signs. In fact, we found a signboard that went over one of their cities. Right at the entrance, they had a big wooden signboard that had quartz inlaid into it as their lettering. But we don't know what it said. There are only 10 characters there, and we just haven't found enough of the letters of their language to really understand it, which is too bad because they're such a fascinating civilization. So one thing which is really interesting about the layout of their cities is that many of them were right here. And there's no river there. You notice there's no river there, but most of them are up here. A lot of them, a preponderance of them. Well, there's two things that have been put together in the last 50 or 60 years, and that is that there is an old folk song which sings about the Hakra River. And I don't know exactly where that is, just that it was up here someplace, and they found up a dried up riverbed right here. And it turns out that was previously a very nice place to live right here. It had a river to support lots of settlements and move their trade goods up and down the river. So that was the Haga Hakra, which is gone. It was destroyed by an earthquake. So a huge earthquake happened sometime in the ancient past, which shifted the path of the river, and it's out of sight now. All right. Just 2 more turns till we've got our 4th settler, or 4th population. So the Harappan traded, as I mentioned, up and down the river, the Indus River, using flat-bottomed boats. Now, at this time in civilization, we've got archaeological evidence of the Harappan. But I've got to tell you about this charming story that I've been introduced to recently. This little short story called the Mahabharata, which is 3 times as long as the Bible. It is a massive story. It's something like 8 times as long as the Odyssey. And it was written between 400 BC and 480. And it contained all of the events of one war that happened in one town called, what was it called? Hastinapur, which is right about here. Hastinapur still exists today. But back in the day, it was a capital city. Many of the kingdoms of India had Hastinapur as their capital. And its name, Hastinapur, means City of Elephants. It is today still one of the great religious sites of the world. There were 3 Jain... Okay, hold on. I haven't tried pronouncing this yet. Tirthankaras. That's where there are holy people of the Jain religion. They were born there. Alright, so according to the Mahabharata, a great war was fought over Hastinapur in the year 3139. So we've passed that. Apparently 2 Indian kingdoms fought right here for control of this capital. And whoever the winner was, they came out in control. Now, I haven't found the archaeological evidence of that. I'm going by, and I'm actually in this playthrough, I'm happy to just go quote mythology. I'm going by the mythology here of the Mahabharata. Alright, next. So the goods that were traded by the Harappan, back to the Harappan, off of Hastinapur. The traded goods included lapis lazuli, peas, sesame seeds, dates, cotton, and water buffalo. So it's nice that we've got buffalo here. What do you think? You think I should fight these barbs? I'm thinking I'm just gonna... Nice! Mount Kailash. Well, I suppose that's appropriate. I don't know what to do with these barbs. I feel like... No, actually, I can fight them in range of the city later on. So that's what I'm going to do. And now we're going to finish this granary. I'm probably going to start pumping out settlers right now. Another pantheon found, goddess of protection. Another miserable pantheon I don't care about. I don't think I'm going to have an opportunity to get... Oh my gosh. To get a religion. But I need to prioritize this somehow. I want a religion. It's a culture game. It'll help me a lot. Barb camp. Quarters of Delhi have grown. I noticed we got the horses. And now I could go shrine. But no. I'm going to start in on... but that'll stop the growth of the city while I'm doing settlers. I'm going to go just a little bit longer. Yeah, I think maybe in this turn 60, 65 is when I'll start doing settlers. That'll allow me to get the shrine out. I'll have a 5th population. Yeah, that's fine, I suppose. I'm still not going to have a library. I should probably Oh well, I was gonna say maybe I could buy a library. I've gotten behind on the history though. So let me mention the Samara real quick, just as an aside. The descendants of the Samara, the Yamna, have started to spread in all directions up on the Russian steppe. All right, so just leave that right there, and we'll go back to the Harappan. So they built a lot of things. Their engineering was fantastic. They worked with fired bricks and unfired mud bricks. And they built dams and baths, granaries, irrigation, aqueducts, dockyards, warehouses. Relatively rarely did they build city walls, but they did. Great. So there's writing, which I probably can't use anytime soon. I should think about getting things which help me passively without me having to build anything. And I don't think that there is such a thing. So quarries, iron. Let's just start working on the wheel now, so we can work towards that water wheel. Alrighty, swing up here. Oh, good. I hope it's got religion. Give me some faith. I want faith. Faith. So they were fantastic buildings. I'll accept that now. I think that I rewatched my playthrough earlier, and I think a scout came through here. So they may have it. Faith. Yes! That's awesome! Woohoo! So now I can get a Pantheon. Alright. Fabulous. That's at least one step towards... What's that, silver? Being able to get a religion. Okay, so in order to be that fantastic of an engineer, you've got to be good at measuring things, that's length and mass and time, and all the evidence exists that the Harappan were in fact great at measurements. We found their rulers, or at least we found some rulers, and we can confirm that they had a uniform set of weights and measures. One of the rulers showed a measurement unit that, again, was uniform, went as small as just 1 millimeter. Well, 1.7 millimeters. So we're talking some pretty detailed precision. Alright. Now, our fertility rate is great. What else would I do? I could do God King. That's not going to get me any food, though. I'm going to go through a happiness crisis here in a little while. But Sacred Waters, that's one happiness. That's really not going to help me. There's no gems or pearls here. Any faith pantheons here that can help me? Gold and silver. No, that would just be one faith after I build a mine there. I think it's going to be fertility rites. Yeah. Earth Mother would be nice, but I don't have any of those resources nearby. So fertility rites it is, and that might just help me a little bit with my short-term goals. Alright. I really should bring this... I'm so addicted to scouting. We'll have him clear this little area down here. What else? I was talking about the Harappan and their engineering. So their smallest measurement of weight was a unit that equals out to 28 grams. And they were able to work metals. I see Persepolis is right on the other side of the Toba Kakar. Well, ain't that fabulous? I will need to build... This will have to be my second city here so I can box them in. Or out. Box them out. Okay, my people want dyes. So the Harappan were also pretty handy working metal. They were able to work copper, bronze, lead, and tin, which means that they were a Bronze Age civilization. They also practiced dentistry like the murder before them, and they produced, as I mentioned originally, quite a bit of art, which included sculptures, seals, bronze pottery, gold jewelry, and anatomically detailed figurines. What desert is that? I don't even know my geography enough to know what desert that is. Alright. I wish that we had some of this wheat up here, but, I mean, if wishes were horses. By the way, how much is a worker? 191 more gold. The only thing I could buy with the money I've got is a scout. Very sad. Because I want a worker. Alright, so... as I mentioned... what was I talking about? Oh, yes! The figurines. Oh, now I'm getting distracted again. Legalism. So, that will get me towards landed elite and monarchy. That's why I'm going down this path. What else we got here? Oh, great! We will need that resource probably sooner than I would like. I should, after a settler, I should queue up a worker. Hey, speaking of workers, hey, Ormus, you got a worker? I don't want to buy a worker or build a worker if I can steal one. Okay, so, keep getting distracted. They made figurines. The majority of them were dancing girls. You should go check them out on the Wikipedia. It's very, very carefully done. I mean, the level of the sophistication of the artwork is really nice, especially for the time period. Very impressive. And they, as I mentioned, they made toys. We found dice, 6-sided dice, no D20s. And also musical instruments. We found a harp. So, I mean, they really were. Oh, super! It's Genghis Khan. I love me some Genghis Khan in my games. Super. That's great. And I'm going to suicide myself for this, what are those things called? Anyway, those things. Goody huts. Actually, I happened to be looking in the XML of the game, and I always thought that was just some kind of slang. No, the game actually refers to them as goody huts. Wow, a worthless, stinking goody. And, oh yes! I will take that. Thank you so much for the worker. I really needed it. Alright, I'm really getting ahead of myself on the turns. So we never could figure out what the religion of the Harappan were, because after all, we haven't been able to decode their language. There have been a lot of ideas, but we don't know. I think I should probably get up on a hill and fortify this scout a little bit. So we'll do that. What else? So, guessing at the religion, we found a figurine which looks kind of like Shiva, but, I mean, it's a seated figure. It looks like maybe it's got a river coming, or water coming off of its head. So it resembles Shiva, but it's not clear at all that it actually is. We found a seal that depicts a half-human, half-buffalo monster fighting a tiger. And that could be a reference to the Epic of Gilgamesh. But whatever the religion was, they didn't build any obvious temples. So if they were really practicing in religion, they must have done it in the privacy of their own homes. All right. Get this guy across the river. And then actually I'll go check Kathmandu, because I wouldn't mind a second worker as well. What else? And I need to know when I need to end this. I've got until... oh, I've got a ways. I've got until like the 23rd century before I need to stop. I tried to arrange these things within certain packets of time and certain, like subject matters so that I don't go meandering all over history. Anyway, so one of the most awesomest cities that the Harappan built is called Dolavira. And wow, I'm really going to talk about Dolavira because it was cool as hell. So, first off, they had... I move my units. They had, like, wastewater runoff sewer drain things so that they could clean their streets with water, and the wastewater would run into, just like you see on the side of the road, you know those wastewater grates They could run into that, and then it would be via a sewer, it would run out of town. The city, which really mastered water, not only cleaned their streets with it, but they had 80-some toilets that fed into the same sewers. They had wastewater pots that were bottomless, and you could dump your wastewater in there and it would flow into the sewers. So they could manage all of the wastewater from the city into these sewers. Think about this, man. This is 2500 BC, and they've got wastewater management systems in their cities. Well, at least in Dolavira. But many of their cities were very well laid out. I mean, pre-planned. Like, there was central planning involved in their cities. As far as the clean water input, so I just told you about how they managed wastewater, and they sewered it out of town onto a drain field outside of their clean water supply. What they did was they used a series of dams to build... I'm sorry, I just totally talked all over myself. They built a series of dams on the Hagarahakra to divert water and to purposefully flood areas of the marsh around their city. And now that we've got a worker, we really will bring our warrior home. Well, we should check Kathmandu. Alright. Still looking for goody huts. Yeah, so they would flood the marshes around Dolavira, and then around their city... scrolling is so awful. And look at that. A prosperous, violent civilization. Around their city, they had built 16 giant tanks. And they would divert the water from the Hagarahakra into the first of these tanks, which would fill, and then it would spill over into the next one. And when that filled, it would spill over, and each tank was successfully successfully lower than the previous one. So the water would continue to pour from one tank to another until it filled all 16 tanks. And then they would irrigate their crops with this water. They also had a gutter system on all of their buildings, which would collect rainwater, and they ran that out to a separate tank. It's not clear why they separated the river water from the rainwater. And last but not least, going on about their water management system, they had, in the very center of their town, they had this ziggurat-like structure, and you would go up onto the top of this ziggurat, and on the top, in the center, there was a stairwell which descended deep down into the earth, like down to the bedrock. And then they dug a well even deeper than that. And this well was filled with what appears to have been ritualistically pure water, like the purest water that they had access to. And you can see, oh yay, you can see still in the stone there the groove marks left by ropes, which they would use to raise and lower buckets down into the well. So they had access to 3 separate sources of water, which they kept separate from one another. Rainwater, kept in one tank. River water, kept in 16 large tanks around town used for irrigation. And well water, which looks like it had a ritualistic use. All right, so that covers all of the subject about their rainwater. Now, I mentioned the gutters on their buildings. Oh, nice. Settlers. I'm really glad for the settlers. That is great. So now we are running at 6 pop. And we're not gaining anymore, but we will as soon as this worker is done. No way, dude. You are not going to get my embassy. You would roll down here with some kind of battering ram and knock in my city walls. And I see an opportunity to make it up to Kathmandu. Oh, they don't have a worker. I will try to kill this barb, and that will satisfy a quest for Kathmandu. I don't want to engage that axeman. I'm not on a seek and destroy mission. I'm just on a seek mission. Alright, so yeah, their buildings their houses each had 4 rooms, like the Murger, and, trying to dodge barbs out here. They had gutters, they had toilets, they had access to shared public baths, they had fountains in the city, so all kinds of really cool amenities there. So many amenities and so much access to water and food that the population of Dolavira reached up to 40,000 people. And the city itself was about a square kilometer. There's got to be a barb camp over here someplace, I'm thinking. Alrighty. So I mentioned that their cities were all obviously centrally planned. And besides the sewers that are under the roads and the toilets and the baths and everything, there is the fact that their roads are perfectly straight. Okay, we're going to bring this warrior home now. And I think we're going to get plantations so that we can eventually develop this wine. Because we're going to run out of happiness double quick, especially after this settler gets over here. Alrighty. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the roads. The main road of their cities was nevertheless, so I guess they each had like a main drag. And that main drag was never less than 9 meters wide. That's 27 feet, and it was straight. Perfectly straight. Don't need any of that. I guess Islam has been founded. Somebody picked up oral tradition. And next. So, yeah, 9 meters wide. That's 27 feet, perfectly straight. All of their roads intersected at right angles with one another. And if I'm going to want this goody hut, I'm going to have to fight for it. Let's come up here and fight for it. Are we already done with this farm? That is fantastic. Let's build another farm on our way over here to the pasture. Actually, let's build a farm here and then come up here and start developing the wine. Yeah. That'll hook right up just about the right time. Alrighty. Got lots of enemy targets around here. And it's 2200. Let me just check when okay, so I am close. 2125 is when I'll wrap this one up. Alright, so have I missed talking about... Oh yeah, Mohenjo-Daro. Alright, so the largest and most fabulous of the cities of the Harappan was called Mohenjo-Daro. If you're watching this currently, it's August of 2016, then there's a movie coming out on Friday called Mohenjo-Daro, and it's so that city is getting into Bollywood, and it's even being shown in American theaters. So, Theodora, so nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. I was wrong about the population of Dolavira. I don't know the population of Dolavira. It was the population of Mohenjo-Daro that I know, that's 40,000. They had, what? Oh yes, they had a set of public baths at the top of their city, surrounded by a gallery of fountains. So, it was the largest city. I think Dolavira was the coolest because of the 16 tanks, but Mohenjo-Daro's got the recognition as being the largest. Alright, so we are going to straight away bring our settler over here, and I want to get this city set up where I can, so what am I, 9, 7? I'll catch up. Get this guy over here. So I'm probably going to build this city right here. Then I won't be next to the mountain. So if I build it here, then I'll be next to the mountain. I'll have floodplains. Let's see, if I'm right here, that'll be 1, 2, 3. I'll get the wheat, and I'll get the salt, but I won't get this salt. Wow, salt or mountain. So that is my question to holy smokes. The heck is this? The heck, man? Barbs from everywhere. I'm betting that not all of them will attack. So kind of a risky bet. Alright, so the Harappan civilization traded heavily with Mesopotamia, apparently via Bahrain. And we know this because we found remnants of the Harappan in Bahrain and as far away as Afghan and the rest of the Middle East. And we know that they were also receiving lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, so we know that this trade existed, as had existed with Merger before them. More, but at a much greater amount, because rather than just, walking across the Bolan Pass, what they did was they used their boats to sail up here to access the Middle East. So they stuck close to the shore, but they were actually able to conduct their trade not just via the rivers and not just via cart, but also by the sea. But eventually, the Harappan civilization encountered its end because the climate changed and the monsoons moved away. And the monsoons moved over here to the Ganges. And when they did that, and also the earthquake happened, which destroyed the Hagar Hakra. So the whole place turned into desert, and they weren't able to feed their 40,000 people in Mohenjo-Daro and their 20 or so thousand people in Dolavira, and who knows how many in the other 1,000 cities. So they eventually just had to fold up shop, and they moved east. They followed the access to water, and they moved into the Ganges River plain right here. Oh, jeez. Let's see if we can get away. Okay, so that brings us to 21:25, and that is where I'm going to end for the night. So the question I have for you is, do I position my city where I can get 2 salt and no mountain? Or do I position my city where I can get a mountain and salt? So thank you very much for watching. Please click the like button. It is uber important to this channel. Otherwise, my videos will never compete with the big shots. If you liked what you heard here, please click subscribe, because in the next episode, that Russian tribe, which has been meandering around that Yamna up in the Russian steppe, the Horse Lords, they're going to come into the picture, and they have some really big impacts on native Indian civilization. So stay tuned for that. You have a great day.